Implementation Chapter 2. Using Advanced Boot Options. Armin Shariarian.
Implementation Chapter 2 Using Advanced Boot Options. To enter into the Advanced Boot Options menu, follow these steps. 1. Click the Start menu and then click the Settings icon. Start menu, Settings, Start menu, Settings icon. Click Update and Security and then click Recovery. Update and Security, click Recovery. Under Advanced Startup, click Restart Now button. Restart Now button. Click the Continue button. Click the Troubleshoot button. Continue button. Troubleshoot button and choose Startup Settings. Click Restart. Click Troubleshoot button, Startup Settings, Restart. OK. Safe mode. Safe mode is almost always my go-to when there are boot issues with a system. Whenever new hardware or software has been installed, or if I suspect that a system may be having issues because of a malware infection, I turn to safe mode. The type of safe mode I use depends on what I need to accomplish. For instance, if I'm just troubleshooting an issue that I suspect may be related to drivers, most of the time I use regular old safe mode. In the following sections, I walk you through the different forms of safe mode and why you may want to use each of them. Safe mode. This is just regular old safe mode. It loads only the basic services and drivers need for Windows to function and for you to interact with it. Nothing more, nothing less. In most cases, this regular form of safe mode is all you need to troubleshoot and resolve the issue at hand. It has a graphical interface like you're used to seeing in Windows Server, but it has no access to the internet or other network resources. In essence, it's a standalone machine. Safe mode with network. Safe mode with network Safe mode with networking is similar to the regular safe mode. Expect the system will also load the drivers needed for the network interface card to function properly. This is useful if you need to download software from the internet, for example, drivers or diagnostic software. or over the network share. Safe mode with network is most useful when you're trying to resolve software or driver issues. It allows you to download replacement software or replacement driver while still in safe mode. Then you can replace the misbehaving driver or incompatible software with a non-good version and then boot successfully. Safe mode with command prompt. Safe mode with command prompt. In safe mode with command prompt, you bypass the Explorer desktop environment. This can be especially useful if the desktop is not displaying properly for whatever reason. If you like server core, you'll like this version of safe mode. If you aren't as comfortable with the command window as you would like be, having a cheat sheet available may help you. I recommended safe mode with command prompt when the issue that needs to be fixed has something to do with graphics. Then problem may be due to driver, graphic rendering, or removing a malware infection that relied on graphical components like wallpapers and screensavers. Enable boot logging. Enable boot logging if you need to see which drivers were installed as the system starts up. You should choose enable boot logging. This will create a file called ntbtlog txt, which lists all the drivers that were installed when the operating system started. The file is stored in your Windows system directory. Typically, this will be c:\\Windows. Incidentally, this is the same list you see flash by on the screen when you boot into safe mode. Enable low resolution video. Last, this setting is very useful if you're having display issues, most commonly after changing display setting to something your monitor doesn't support. It uses the currently installed video driver but starts with lower resolution, typically 640 480, and refresh settings. Last non-good configuration. Last non-good configuration advanced is helpful in fixing issues with booting that occur because the Windows registry has been damaged. Most commonly, this occurs due to user misconfiguration or from update or patches. When you choose last non-good configuration, the registry is reverted so that it matches the settings it had the last time the system boots successfully. Directory service restore mode. Directory service restore mode. The option only appears on a server that is a domain controller and therefore it isn't shown in figure 2-4. Directory Services Restore Mode (DSRM) is a special form of safe mode for domain controller that allows you to repair or recover an active directory database. Debugging mode. If you're a hardcore system administrator and you want to get your feet wet using a kernel debugger, this option is for you. The kernel is program that is one of the first to run when your server boots. The kernel loads right after the bootloader. It has total control over everything on your system. Debugging mode. Turn on kernel debugging, which allows you to work with the kernel debugger to examine states and processes that are running at the kernel level. This can be very useful for troubleshooting issues with device drivers that cause the infamous blue screen of this and issues with the central processing unit CPU. You can look at the kernel memory dump on the system that is having the issues, or you can view the kernel memory dump remotely on another system via the serial connection. The information from the debugging mode is typically made available over the COM1 port. On newer systems that don't have a serial port, you can also access this information over USB. Disable automatic restart on. Disable automatic restart on system failure. Eventually, every system administrator has a system that will continuously try to start, fail, reboot, and then try to start, fail, reboot, and so on. This situation is known as a boot loop. If you are experiencing a boot loop on one of your systems, you can get the system to stop automatically restarting by choosing Disable Automatic Restart on System Failure from the Advanced Boot option menu. Disabling automatic restarting can be very helpful if the system is getting the blue screen of this and you need to get the information being displayed when the system halts and its next blue screen. You will have all the time you need to copy down the information. Disable driver signature enforcement. Disable driver signature enforcement. By choosing the disable driver signature enforcement option, you are basically telling the system that it's okay to load drivers that aren't digitally signed. Microsoft requires drivers to be digitally signed by default, and it will prevent unsigned drivers from running. Microsoft does this because when a driver digitally signed, It's seen as being automatic because you can verify from the digital signature that it's come from the vendor it claims to be from. Digital signature also signature guarantee that the driver hasn't been altered in any way since it was released by the vendor. Disable early launch anti-malware driver. Malware that's installed after Windows has booted will will most likely be seen by the antivirus software that is installed on the system, but the problem is virus writers began writing malware called rootkits. These rootkits can be very difficult to get rid of because they install and execute before the operating system has booted. Many of the more sophisticated rootkits began install driver that started really early in the boot process of the system. This can make them extremely difficult to find and remove. Performing a memory test. What happening if your server is crashing unexpectedly or throwing blue screens when you least expect it? That can be a difficult question to answer. This symptom could occur because of corrupted software or because of hardware failure. Memory is a great place to start with your troubleshooting of efforts and Windows. Server 2022 includes a built-in memory diagnostic utility called the Windows Memory Diagnostic Tools. You can run the Windows Memory Diagnostics tools by pressing the Windows key plus R. Windows key plus R. Typing mdsched.exe and clicking OK. If you don't know thing, the Windows Memory Diagnostic tools will run in a standard mode. You can interrupt it and at any time by pressing F1 to enter the option screen and change the settings. Start Windows normally, go to Windows and implementation, performing a memory test with Windows key plus R and typing and run program, typing mdsched.exe. Start, run, and type mdsched. OK, and click OK. Restart now and check for problem. Recommended, check for problem, and next time recommended click. Windows is checking memory problem. This might take several minutes. After this is finished, show this option.